Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and those beyond the binary. This is The Between. Welcome. My name is Alex Rubitsky, and I will be the keeper for this gothic tale. My hunters may introduce themselves. Hunters?
Howdy, my name is Wes Franks. My pronouns are he, they. And for this evening, I'm playing Ross Fontenot, the American.
Hello, everyone. I'm Meg. My pronouns are she, her, and tonight I will be playing Carla, host The Undeniable.
My name is Jordan Fries. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm going to be playing Dr. Cal Murdoch, the mother.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby. My pronouns are she, her. They'll be playing Pira Rivia, the legacy.
Indeed, indeed. Before we begin tonight, we have a few thanks and announcements to declare at the top. First of all, shout out to our sponsors, Session Zero, clothing and apparel, tabletop-themed streetwear and accessories. Please check out their website, their socials. You can find them on Twitter at S0 Clothing, and I believe at just session-0.com. You can use promo code FAILSAFE for 10% off your order. That is a good offer. Also, last week in the streaming timeline of which we are currently occupying and what we refer to as the present, we were supporting Roll for Ukraine, a charity raising money for United Help Ukraine. I am very pleased to announce that Roll for Ukraine met its $3,000 goal this past week. They raised the money, so special thanks to all of you who donated, all those who shared the word, and just all around gave your support however you could. It was a great experience. Now that we are not doing a charity, our donations are once more open. We don't have a Streamlabs set up, but if you'd like to donate money to the show, we have a coffee link down below. More snazzy things will be coming in the coming weeks, but for now, if you want to show your support for the channel, feel free to donate there. And with that said, I believe we are ready to step once more onto the shadowy streets of London for Chapter 2 of our show here of The Between. So without further ado, distinguished guests, we will see you in just a moment. Previously, on The Between, we met the 4 hunters of Hargrave House, the current residents of a Gothic townhouse just off Belgrave Square, who conduct investigations or hunts, as they are more aptly referred to, defending London and defending the crown from supernatural and malicious threats. We met Ross Fontenot, Carla Holst, Cal Murdoch, and Pira Rivia as they embarked on a new investigation referred to as the St. James's Street Ghost, a haunting where months ago a young maid, Miss Ginny Hess, I should say, was frightened to death, and it has now just hit the newspapers, so our hunters began looking into it for a few interesting reasons. One, our first paint the scene question, I should say, was the reason why the hunters suspected this haunting to be a legitimate one and not a hoax. And I believe Miss Rivia added the detail of the smell of sulfur present on the deceased and in the area was indicative of a haunting. The investigation began as a minor recap of the investigation thus far. You have met the current residents of 18 St. James's Street, the Beals family. Alice Beal, her son Roger Beal, their dog Pythagoras, their cook Irma Thicket, and their snoopy, nosy neighbor Miss Constance Head. You have not yet met Mr. Harold Beal or their young infant daughter Mary Alice. And there are a few clues, but I'm going to actually leave that up to one of my hunters to recap the clues as you have recorded them thus far, just for this mystery. We're not going to recap the mastermind clues yet. And distinguished listeners, or distinguished guests, I should say, this week we have, we're going to try out some music, some background music while as we play. So you may let us know what you think, and hopefully it enhances the experience. So, who would like to take it away with recapping the clues of the St. James Street ghost investigation thus far, and then we'll get back into the game. Go ahead, Pyrrha.
So, the clues that we unlocked were through a series of all of our combined efforts, just that there were bruises on the neck of the deceased that indicated being strangled and not frightened to death. There was a similar death on the premise. Miss Ginny screamed of seeing a fire, but there was no fire. There was a broken stair that seemed like it was repaired rather recently in terms of how old the house is. And the lady of the house remembered hearing a heated argument between Irma, the cook, in an unknown language with an unknown person, as well as a stack of love letters being found by the previous owners, a ledger being dug out of the ground, and a strange series of numbers that were cut into the mirror.
Indeed. And yes, as a quick refresher to both my hunters and our distinguished guests, the way that the main mystery solving mechanic of the Between goes is that these clues are vague and do require some contextualizing to fit them together. This is a game not about solving a puzzle that I, the keeper, have placed before you, but rather simulating deduction, taking these things and seeing what makes sense and what is cool. So it is up to the job of my hunters, and with a little input of myself, of course, to take these clues and come up with interesting theories about them in an attempt to solve the mysteries. But we will get to that in due time. As for now, oh, go away. As for now, we left off in the dusk phase, setting up before the night phase, which, as I've mentioned before, and I'll just do a quick little recap, the Between is played in 4 phases: the dawn phase, the day phase, the dusk phase, and the night phase. Dawn and dusk are for establishing and setting up the following phase. The day phase, languid roleplay, very traditional roleplay. It's a good time to let things happen whenever and whatever you want to happen. The night phase is the domain of the keeper. My players may tell me what they would like to do during the night phase, and I may indeed listen to them, but I may just as well disregard their wishes entirely in favor of something I'd like to introduce. And I'm sorry to say, hunters, but all but one of you will not be accomplishing what you were hoping to accomplish on this upcoming night phase. Perhaps next time. I hope you can forgive me. For now, though, I just want to go over what was said in the previous dusk phase. Mr. Fontenot is looking to go out into the seedy underbelly of London and indulge in some opium dens, to use a move of his, which we will address shortly. Miss Hulse wanted to comfort the dying. Dr. Murdoch wished to find body parts for the child he is building in secret. And Pyrrha Rivia wanted to conduct research on ghosts. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But first, we have a flashback to address. Last week, Pyrrha invoked the Janus mask and chose the Mask of the Past. but we forgot in our haste to do this flashback, so we're going to bring that to you right now. Kira, you marked the first box, which is to narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the first hunt you went on and what about it disturbed you. Are you ready to give this flashback?
Yes, and I would like to ask if you would allow me to narrate something a little bit beforehand that led me into this flashback.
I'm more than happy to hear that.
We're going to rewind a little bit to when I was examining the mirror, and I noticed a series of numbers was cut into the glass. And it takes me a while to realize that this is a repeating set of numbers. 20051844, 20051844, June 20th, 1844. It's a date. While the year means nothing to me, the date, June 20th, is not one I like to remember, as it was the date of my first hunt. So join me as we fade and look into the past of the legacy. The scene opens to what looks like two children. About a boy and a girl. Siblings, maybe. They're about the same age, have very similar faces, about 11 or 12. Twins, maybe. They are sitting under an unlit lamppost. It's dark. Fog is rolling in, and it's quiet. Except for a rhythmic, dripping sound of fluid hitting the cobble. And this camera that was focused on these children sitting on the ground pans up, and we see the mangled body of what was once a man. Both children are wide-eyed, clutching an identical saber and covered in blood. And this scene, silence is interrupted by footsteps, bootsteps. And the sound of this, the sole of the boot hitting these bloodied cobbles, rouses both the children out of their stupor, and a man approaches, bearing the symbol of Hargrave House. And he stops, and he looks up at the corpse impaled on the lamppost that was once his younger brother, and then back at the children, before he very coldly says, "Your father was never very talented. Seems you finally ran out of time. But you're both advancing faster than your brother did. More potential. Get up. We have work to do." And the scene fades as Pavel Rivia, Pyrrha's uncle, who is still a resident of Hargrave House, reaches down and grabs both of them by the arm, and with very little resistance, forces both children to their feet.
That was a lovely flashback. Thank you. I loved that. All right, then. Let us finish going over a couple of details really quickly. One of the other things I need to go over very quickly that's going to be crucial to the night phase is we need to talk about the unseen. I've mentioned this briefly during the last show, but it is time for me to actually address what specifically the unseen is, both for our distinguished guests watching and to our hunters playing. London is a particularly large city full of many bodies, many souls, and there are far more things going on in London than what our hunters are experiencing. The unseen is our method as participants in this story of exploring something completely unrelated to the events of our hunter's story. I will introduce the unseen during these phases, and the way that they work, it's sort of like a timer for the night phase. As I've mentioned before, the night phase is fast, where the day phase is languid. It is climactic and tense and action-packed. It moves by rapidly. And the unseen is the timer by which that happens. Generally in the night phase, each hunter is allowed one roll during a turn, you could call it, of the night phase. And in between those rolls, we return to the unseen, where each player will take a prompt and answer it. It's more like an extended paint the scene question that our hunters get to participate in. And once all the prompts have been answered and another night cycle has passed, the night phase is over and we go into the day. Even if nothing was resolved, better luck next time. Now, the slightly more esoteric, you could say, aspect of the unseen that we will get better at with practice is the concept of an echo in the night. What these are, all 4 of our hunters here have questions on their dawn phase section, the means by which they advance and get experience, that asks them, did you experience an echo in the night? What that is very simple, but like I said, might take us a little bit to get used to. The unseen and our gameplay can never, ever be related. They are uninvolved. No elements may feed into the other. However, thematic connections may exist. For example, in one unseen, we might explore a prostitute who's dying of consumption as she coughs bright red blood into a bowl of water, blooming and blossoming in its flow. Meanwhile, in our hunter scene, a hunter might describe a bowl of flowers in a bedroom, bright red and freshly blooming. These are not related, but thematic. Our hunters establish them themselves. So hunters, your job is to find ways to bring these echoes in the night to life. Find those thematic connections you might be able to build. If one mystery involves postcards of from various lovers or suitors, you might mention a collection of postcards in the unseen that are relevant to the prompt you are answering. Be creative, and it's fine if you don't experience them for a little while. We'll get there. It's a very cool mechanic. So, with that said, let's get into it. Let's see. Let me just double check my reference sheet here for the dusk phase. All right. I will introduce the unseen. For my hunters, there is an unseen tab in our character keeper here. There's a lot of them. I'm going to give you the title of them, and you can find them from there. We are going to do the attic at Gransby House. It is the last unseen, so if you scroll all the way to the bottom, we're going to use that one. Let's see. So, the attic at Gransby House. I will introduce this unseen first. Gransby House is a fine mansion in Mayfair, but above the grand rooms is a cramped series of attic rooms that is the beating heart of the house, the maids' quarters. Alternating between too hot and too cold, lit only by candlelight, this is the girls' only refuge from their life of service. With shifts that last to bed and the first awake, there are scant few hours of silence every night. Hunters, this paint the scene question is for each of you. You may all add one detail. The attic quarters are cramped, with whitewashed wooden partition walls separating the girls into rooms of 4 or so occupants. What touches of the girls' personalities do we see added to their personal spaces?
One of the girls on a nightstand has a compact mirror. It's a little bit cracked, maybe a little familiar cracking, but it still works. And it still allows her to look at herself every morning.
In a different partition part of the house, or the attic, one girl is reading by candlelight in the window, a penny dreadful, so to speak. And another one, we'll say her roommate of sorts, is facing the wall trying to get to sleep, but is quite clearly very irritated.
There is a girl who is sleeping, just nodding off, and by her bed there is a candle lit that she has stuck a little nail into so that the plink will wake her up. And seems like with the amount of wax that this is how she gets very small naps in between her shifts.
There is one girl who is also sleeping, but she is snoring something ungodly. In the same room as the girl who is also trying to sleep and is just really pissed off. Like, it's just this, like almost just guttural sound of just snoring. Almost comical, but just really just fucking irritating.
Bless.
I love it. Wonderful. I will shift us now into the night phase. We'll return to this unseen momentarily. Now, here's what's going to happen, hunters. Mr. Fontenot will be the one to leave the house tonight. Mr. Fontenot sneaks out to go indulge his vice. He slinks away from the premises, and I believe, Miss Holst, you were planning on being adjacent to him. Well, that may be the plan still, but you find yourself, of course, preparing yourself for the evening out. So you take more time than Mr. Fontenot. I believe, Pyrrha, you plan to do some research, and Dr. Murdoch, let us assume that you are in your secret lab, packing whatever supplies you need before you hit the streets of London.
Right.
When, as it is now dark in London, a doorbell buzzes. This is one of those Victorian doorbells. It's more like a soft, kind of like brief little chime that, like, you know, it's like if you hit a counter bell really fast, essentially. That rings. Who's going to answer it?
Well, mine. Oh, do you want to?
I feel like I'm gonna be honest. I probably pissed somebody off, and this is probably my punishment for the last time I snuck out. Is that now I'm on doorbell duty? So I'll answer the fucking door. It's my fucking job.
Pyrrha, you answer the door. The little gas lamp that sits out on the front porch of Hargrave House has not yet been ignited by the passing lamplighter, so the front stoop stands dark, and you see the silhouette of a small figure standing backlit by Belgrave Square. Despite the dark silhouette, you recognize the stature, a small little sailor's hat atop his head, and a voice that says, "Is Mr. Fontenot home?"
Who's asking? Can I see that it's the kid?
Yeah, as a little bit of, like, you open the door a bit more, some light from the inside of Hargrave House casts a beam of light, half illuminating part of Roger Beale's face, just kind of coolly impassive, standing forward.
Yes. Knowing full well he's not. He is. Come on in.
I would like to come in, yes, please. And young Roger Beale steps into the front door. There's a moment of hesitation as he raises his foot and then crosses the threshold of the house. And his movement seems a little tense, like perhaps the young lad is tired or he's been walking for quite some time. You are, after all, some distance from 18
Where is your mom? What are you doing out here?
It is rather cold outside. I was hoping, do you have anything warm to drink? Is Mr. Fontenot home? I would like to talk to him about the cigar he gifted me prior.
He gave... where is your mother?
My mother is at home.
Why are you not at home? I mean, I'm happy to give you a hot drink, but...
I wish to see Mr. Fontenot, and indeed I wanted to ask you some questions as well.
Okay, I'm gonna start ushering this kid towards a fire. Like to sit him down in front of a fireplace. I'm imagining in our lobby, off in the corner there's like a little like fireplace. This is a Victorian house. They have fireplaces everywhere. So I sit him down there and I'm like, we'll get Roger in a minute, but what's going on? What do you need?
He like sits in like a little plush chair and like looks at the fire, just kind of firelight illuminating his face, and Roger does not respond to you at first. Elsewhere in the house, we'll jump back to this in a moment. Carla, you are in your personal quarters. What are you doing to get ready?
Like I said at the end of last stream, she's in a much more modest outfit. Very simple dress, a little bit of a veil over her head. No jewelry. She still looks divine, just a little bit more muted than usual.
For sure.
And
as you are getting ready, you find yourself running, a brush through your long, dark tresses. And you have pause for a moment as you realize you have started singing a sweet song that, as you pause and think on the words you just were humming and muttering, you don't understand what you were just singing. Elsewhere in Hargrave House, in the secret lab of Dr. Murdoch, and I'll ask you for more detail about this place another time, but for now, you are just packing a bag when you begin to exit. And as you are walking, you hear a floorboard creak underfoot. No, nothing weird there. This house is old and creaky. And then you keep walking down a hallway, another creak. And then something is, tickling at the back of your mind. You walk another set, and then you stop on 16 steps. And then you pause, and you take a 17th step, and the floorboard creaks again. The floorboards are creaking every 17th step. Meanwhile, elsewhere, for now, Mr. Fontenot, you are going to indulge your vice and use your move. Would you like to once more tell us what the move is?
Well, I certainly would like to. So, the move that I have for a night move is called the As Cruel as the Harlot's Curse. When you indulge your vice alone in the dark and seedy underbelly of London, in order to deaden your senses, roll with vitality. Now, because I did all right with my quickening roll, I do have advantage.
Yes, you do.
On this roll. So on a hit, I get to clear a condition and choose one from the list below. On a 10 plus, I get to choose two, and there's a series of options.
Yeah.
And then on a 12 plus, I take a memento, ask another hunter what it is, and then I put it in my personal quarters.
I love that. So go ahead then and roll with vitality with advantage because of the quickening.
All right, that is going to be. Let me make sure. Just got all my numbers and everything like that. It is It's not a 12, but it is an 11.
11,
yo.
Yes.
Nice.
So you get to
Nice,
choose
very
two
good.
of those options. So which two from that list would you like to choose, or would you like a moment to decide?
I am going to choose. You gain some resistance to your curse on your next quickening roll. Increase the success tier by 1 step.
Nice.
And then you befriend a side character.
Oh, very interesting. We'll get to that momentarily. But yes, back at Hargrave House, I'm gonna actually jump back to Miss Holst for a moment. I think I'm gonna make you roll a night move. Because as per the description of the move, when you, if you face something you fear, I think the sudden appearance of a haunting. I'm gonna have actually, I probably everyone do this in a moment, but we'll get to Pyrrha last. So I will remind you, the Night Moves text reads, just for our distinguished guests listening at home, when you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve. I will tell you how it is worse than what you fear. You may then choose to back down or go through with it. In these cases, you don't really get a chance to back down, but I'm open to arguments. So I feel like you have started singing this song, this thing that, this thing you don't understand. What are you afraid of if you lose your nerve in the face of this strange occurrence?
Well, Carla doesn't fear anything. Of course, she's too old for that, but... Well, she also doesn't want to have something else puppeting her body. That's quite annoying, wouldn't you say? She doesn't want something taking over. She's old. She knows a lot of things.
I'm going to say it's worse than that. It is worse than losing control of your own body. Because you might find your body damaged or otherwise harming itself and perhaps scarring itself and ruining your beauty.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to ask you to roll a night move with composure. You don't have any conditions, I believe, do you?
I do not.
Okay, then
not.
this is a straight roll for you. Go ahead and make the roll.
That's only a 5.
That is a miss, which means, Carla, as you stare into the mirror after humming this song, a clammy, cold feeling of dread climbing up your spine, you see the faintest movement in the dust motes of the moonlit window behind you as something moves, and you feel yourself lunge forward and smash and drag your face through your mirror. Would you like to invoke the Janus mask?
I think I'll do the Mask of the Unquiet. The one of this little mystery of ours. I feel like this is an appropriate time to invoke that.
Is a very appropriate time. I love that. This applies to every hunter. Each hunter narrates a flashback to their childhood when they experienced a haunting. You may all think on that for a moment. We can come to that later. And I will also let you all know that by invoking the Mask of the Unquiet, you have unlocked a new hunter playbook for potential future use, should anyone need a replacement. Wonderful. Jumping away from that scene then, I'll tell you the new consequences of the result. Dr. Murdoch. You also similarly notice this irregular shift, this change, this presence in the house, in this strange, odd, exact instance you are facing. How are you feeling? What are you afraid of happening should you lose your nerve in this moment faced with a statistical anomaly?
That's a really good question. The doctor isn't so much afraid of something happening to him, more of something happening to someone else in the house. The first immediate thought would be, I guess, his first immediate thought of the floorboards creaking were, the house is old. I hope someone doesn't fall. Now that he knows that it's 17 steps, a part of him for just a moment wondered, is the house alive? Could it harm someone? Have we been good to the house? No, that's silly. But it still kind of lingered in the back of his head.
So there's a slight
small fear of the house being alive itself.
Of the house animating in some way. I'm going to say that it's worse than that because it is aware of you and it hates you.
Fuck.
Or at least whatever presence is within the house at the moment. I think you are going to roll plus reason, because it sounds like you're trying to be like, no, it's preposterous. That doesn't make any sense.
That's silly. That's superstition.
I am a man of science. It's technically a little bit of a composure thing, but I feel like there's enough of like you are trying to just mental faculty yourself into being like, everything's fine, and continue about your business.
I've seen the supernatural. This is not it. This is fine. How many dice am I rolling for this roll again?
Do you have any conditions, Dr. Murdoch?
I've got the jitters.
Ooh, so I absolutely think you're gonna roll
right
disadvantage. So you're gonna roll 3d6, take the 2 lowest, and add your reason modifier to that.
Yes, sir. Okay. We have 2 4s plus a 2, so that's gonna be a 10.
10. As per the night move, you do what you intend, or you hold steady. So you have this moment of uncertainty, but you decide preposterous. What is that like? Look like in the terms of Dr. Murdoch's headspace, and as he continues walking through the house, intending to leave?
Well, as a man of the sciences, once he catches on, he has this weird moment of, what the fuck is that? Is the house alive? He turns behind him and looks back down the hallway, and then he turns forward and looks to where his destination is, and then he looks back down to his feet. And almost like a child, he just step, like irregular footsteps, maybe to try and stump the living house underneath him. Does it continue to
And on that
step?
17th step, now
Well, that's
back,
fucked up. And he's just gonna keep walking.
back to Pyrrha then.
Yeah.
You are in the living room with the young Roger Beale.
Yeah, me with the fucking possessed kid. Yeah.
Have you brought him something? Have you brought him something hot to drink?
Yeah, I would have gone off and gotten some tea. And that seems we're in London. That's what Londoners drink, right?
Yes, of course. You hand him.
We
the
don't
nice...
have coffee here. Fuck.
You hand him.
No, I know this, and it fucking sucks.
You hand him a lovely little cuppa, and he takes into his small childlike hands. He just kind of stares into the dark, muddy brown water, and then he like looks up at you, and his childish eyes meet yours, and he just said, "Why did you have to look at the numbers?" And then the fireplace goes out, filling the room with darkness and a cold air that blows through. You turn around, see the fireplace, and when you turn back, young Roger Beale is gone, a single teacup sitting on the chair, and you hear a child's laugh and running through Hargrave House. This is going to be a night move from you as well for encountering this directly.
Oh no.
What is Pyrrha afraid of at this moment?
Hold on, I believe I have a condition.
You have
right
2
now.
conditions, I believe, right now.
Yeah.
But yes, aside from those, what are you afraid of in this moment, Miss Rivia?
Being attacked from the darkness. This isn't a kid anymore. This is my fucking territory. It came into my fucking house. I may hate it here, but it's still my fucking house.
You are afraid of being attacked in the darkness. I love that. It is worse than that, because you will be dragged into said darkness and you shall never return. I feel like this is going to be a roll plus composure to hold your nerve.
Oh shit.
And you roll disadvantage because of your conditions. So roll 3d6, take the 2 lowest.
Fine. There are 3 in my hand now.
Yes, there are.
Well, that's on the floor now, so we're just getting another one.
Jumanji rules do not apply.
It's fine. I'm glad. Thank you. There are 2 6s and a 2 sitting in this fucking thing. There are 2 6s and a 2 sitting in here.
A 6 and a 2 is an 8 plus your composure, which is a 1, which is a 9. So on a 7 to 9, okay, that's not bad. On a 7 to 9, yeah, on a 7 to 9 with a night move, you do hold steady, but there is a complication or a cost, and I will describe what it looks like. I'm going. Ooh, this is great. Here's. Under most circumstances, I would give conditions. However, I have a great idea for this one, which is to say the complication here is as the fire goes out and you hear a young child's laugh and running through the household, bam, 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 Heard all throughout the house, shutters slamming, doors locking. You are now all trapped inside Hargrave House, and a voice echoes through its darkened halls as all the lights are extinguished. Roger Beale's echoing voice say, "Let's play hide and seek."
All right, kid, where the fuck are you?
And then go back to Carla for a moment. You bumped it up one step to be with a combat. I'm going to give you a condition, which is to say you are feeling, as you shake off the possession, you feel violated. And then you hear this voice, "How dare they come into your home and do this? You are violated." You may write that condition down, and we're going to cut back to the unseen.
Oh, wonderful.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Oh, fuck.
Am I gonna fight a child? Yes.
I'm going to fight the child, certainly.
I do not need child parts. I'll leave that up to you.
I'm going to give this unseen prompt to Wes. Prompt number 1 of the attic at Gransby House. A group of girls gather in one room, gossiping in hushed tones about potential beaux, fellow servants, boys from back home, or even a member of the household. What dreams of true love or desire? Who dreams of true love or desire? Who of escape from service by marriage? And who remains notably quiet on the subject?
There is a girl by the name of Lily who dreams of not somebody from back home or you know, a member of the household, but of a young man that's about the same age as her that she sees selling candles, that walks down the street, and he's got a cart, and he's got some things that he carries along with him. She's never seen him at the market because she doesn't really have time to go to the market, but she does see him walk past, and she has taken a liking to him. And sometimes he looks up at the window, but she dreams about him often. Then we see a more elderly woman by the name of Tabitha, or Tabby. She's called the Old Cat by some of the other girls. And she has been working in this household at Gransby House for a better part of 30 to 40 years. But she can never quite make enough to move out, to retire peacefully, where she wants to go back home in Scotland. And she thinks of maybe murdering the woman of the house, Agnes Gransby, and taking her neck in her hands and wringing it until her face turns purple and bloated, and then taking the jewelry and running away. And then
I love that.
we see Madeline, who's the youngest of the group, who is taking stock in all of these things and kind of just has almost like radar ears and can kind of hear bits and pieces of each of the conversation and doesn't say anything, but just quietly sits and takes notes in a journal, a diary of everything that is being said, just in case it could help her position at all in the future.
Thank you. Let's return. So, let's start with, rather, let me set the scene for Carla, Pyrrha, and Dr. Murdoch first. And we don't necessarily have to pick up at the exact moment we previously thought. It can, like, a little bit of time can have passed. you find that Hargrave House is now pitch black. You have to light new candles or lanterns. You find that all the windows do not budge. Some doors rattle and shift, and all around you occasionally hear thump 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 the thump 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 running, and a little child's giggle echoing through the hallway. Yes, Pyrrha.
Can I add that you're also hearing me screaming for this child echoing through
And
the halls? Because
also-
I'm not
Also,
quiet.
unquietly,
Just-
yes, is Pyrrha Rivia screaming throughout the household of yelling at this child. But I will ask hunters in this circumstance with the young Roger Beale asking to play a game of hide and seek, and you're in a darkened household with the sounds of a young boy running about. What do our hunters like to do right now?
Dr. Murdoch, upon hearing this, kind of like takes a moment and like with like the little like foot like pitter patter, he just kind of sighs. And he opens his bag and he pulls out a bone saw. And almost like he is addressing the living house underneath him, he kind of says, "This is why I don't want children." And he closes his bag, sets it to the side. And now we're gonna have to find this fucking kid.
You would like to start looking for a child?
Yeah, we're gonna have to start
Yeah.
looking for the child.
Alright,
He may reconvene with Pyrrha first.
All right. Well, so yeah, since everyone gets an action, I will, just for the sake of dice on the table, it sounds like you're going to want to spend some time looking for a child. So I think that this is going to be a night move as always. And I believe this will be plus probably plus reason. That sounds the most likely. You do
Okay.
have the jitters though, so will roll disadvantage. But so first I will
That's
ask
true,
you.
I do-
I'll
I
ask
do have the
you.
jitters.
What are you? So you're looking for Roger Beale. What are you afraid of happening here, Dr. Murdoch?
So with the voice echoing around the house and pitter patters of feet kind of echo as well, and weirdly in places that it doesn't really seem like there should be running, he can put two and two together. This is something supernatural. This is something possibly ghastly, a ghost of some kind. Really in the back of his head, he just doesn't want the kid to come out and like stab him in the leg or something. Like that's
Sure. Yes.
that's like the main course of thought, but like his biggest fear is that someone else gets hurt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's worse than that. Oh, that's such a good one. Your biggest fear is someone else getting hurt as you're out looking for the child. I'm going to say that it's worse than that, Dr. Murdoch, because someone may very well get hurt, but they will be beyond your ability to heal, physician.
Oh, brother.
Would you still like to continue? Would you still like to try and look for young Roger Beale, or would you like to embark on a different course of action?
I took the Hippocratic Oath, man.
Did that oath exist back then?
Probably not. I don't.
It's called the Hippocratic Oath, so I mean that's Hippocrates, so I assume it still exists back then.
Oh, okay.
I assume.
Damn. See, because now this is like.
Do you go through with it or not, Dr. Murdoch?
Do it.
Yeah, we'll go through with it.
All right,
We'll go through
roll
with
plus reason. You have disadvantage on this roll.
With the jitties. Ooh, ooh, that's a 7. Ooh.
Total.
Oh no.
Okay. Well, on a seven, that is a hit with a complication. There is you do what you intend, but there is a complication or a cost. I will describe what it looks like. I will get back to that momentarily. As Dr. Murdoch begins to stalk the halls and look for Roger.
Oh, fuck.
Pyrrha, Carla, what are you two looking to do? And I will also say, not most actions will be resolved as night moves just because of the danger of the situation. However, as hunters, if you would like to try and seize this moment to possibly glean information or find clues in this, and then the information move may also be attempted, but feel free to think of whatever, and we can contextualize it where we need to.
I think I'd I do remember you explaining something to me that I could there was something about my weapons that I could say there was a modification on them.
Yes, let's take a look at your playbook for a moment. Your hunter, your legacy move of a hunter's life. Would you like to read that out loud for us real quick?
Your entire life has been filled with lessons on slaying beasts. 1 second, let me just.
I love a haunted house.
Sorry.
I don't like the haunted house when the haunted house is our house.
Mm-hmm.
Bad
All
house.
right. All right. Your entire life has been filled with lessons on slaying beasts. Engaging in physical combat with supernatural creatures is is always vitality for you. You choose a hereditary weapon that's passed down for your ancestors. I chose the twin blades.
Yep. And you have named it.
Well, yeah, they don't have. I have names, but you don't need to know,
we don't know
them
them yet. We don't need to know them yet, but yes, they have names.
You don't need to know them yet.
And yes.
Name the weapon in your personal inventory. When you use the weapon in physical combat with supernatural creatures, you can mark the box and describe how the weapon has been modified to be particularly effective against creatures of that type.
And then if you do that, you may increase the success tier of the result. So if you're planning on embarking on an action here that is you fighting a ghost or fighting the possessed Roger Beale or some variation.
I wanted to say that I wanted to mark off that use because Hargrave House dealt with a lot of shit. The hilt in front of my swords unscrews, and there's a vial of holy water in there.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and mark off one of those boxes.
Yeah.
Now, when you do, after you make this roll, you will do a flashback showing one of your ancestors destroying a monster of that type using, destroying a ghost with this hereditary weapon. So this is going to be your action is going to be you're going to make a physical attack against this ghost somehow. I'd love to hear what the setup here is. Like, is Pyrrha like stalking the halls with her swords drawn?
Yeah, Pyrrha has the two swords are in identical shapes, but when she actually draws them, one blade is black and the other is white. She is going into the vial on the white one. Well, it looks white. It's probably more like just super shiny. As I am listening to this, this running in impossible directions on the ceiling, voices in front of me, behind me, off to my side. As soon as I hear it close enough, I just want to bam with the pommel and break the
you want to smash the vial of holy water against Roger Beale's forehead. That is phenomenal. I love this. So you're going to this is so cool. I'm with this every step of the way. So then this is going to be
don't give the Witcher nerd a chance to be a Witcher nerd.
Absolutely.
Okay,
this will
Don't
be
do it.
the night move plus your vitality with disadvantage because of your conditions. I think those apply here, especially out of your depth. But as always with the night move, I must ask you, as you are planning to clock a 9-year-old boy over the head here, what are you afraid of happening here?
I'm gonna be honest. As much as you might expect me to be like, the kid will die.
No, fuck the kid.
I think Pyrrha is sorry. She's confident enough in her training that she has the restraint that it will only break the vial. Mm-hmm. The bad thing could be the reaction, because I don't know what kind of spirit's possessing this kid, but the holy water specifically could burn the kid. Is what I'm scared.
You're scared. You're scared of Roger getting harmed.
I'm scared
not
of the child being harmed when I'm doing everything I can not to, but it's not for my own strength. I'm worried about. I'm worried about whatever this is inside of him hurting him.
You're afraid of it hurting. Yeah. Here's what I'll say. Yeah. It's worse than that because it will hurt him and then in retaliation possess you.
Cool.
So you wish to follow through?
Yeah.
Alrighty, give me that move with disadvantage now because of your function there. It will automatically go up 1 success tier from what you roll. So 3d6 plus your vitality.
All right. And do I need to do the quick flashback now or?
No, it'll be after the roll is made.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, if one day these dice will leave my hands.
2 episodes in and we're beating up kids.
So, that's a 10, but plus 2.
That and so it's already just the highest it can be. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have you do the narration before I say what happens, because I need a moment to think of what's gonna happen. So yes, narrate a flashback to one of your ancestors defeating a ghost with your twin blades.
This goes back to a story I read in the Codex that my father read to me before he died. It was a story of my grandfather, and he was known as the Ghost Slayer. And it was this ingenious design, which is why my pommel now has this little cavity to store holy water. That he had it in a dagger, in a dagger that was originally meant to store poison. This exact move he used when he took down a very intense banshee.
I love that. Excellent. Thank you so much. As you wait in like the darkness, you can hear Dr. Murdoch navigating the house in other chambers. You wait around a darkened corner as you hear the soft little sing-songy la 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 la, and you come around from the corner at the right second and just slam the side of your pommel with enough grace to like not mortally wound the young 9-year-old kid, but as the holy water smashes over his head, he like startles and is stunned, and you see him like convulse and shake as you're pretty sure the ghost possessing him has been affected and stunned for a moment and weakened. I'm going to give you a clue as your extra benefit. And then after I give you this clue, you can describe kind of how it looks like, and then the young Roger Beale will disappear once more. But you see that here's your clue, is that as the holy water like drips down his face and he convulses, you watch as his posture shifts, and subtly but noticeably Roger Beale's appearance takes on that of an older person, like a more stooped posture, like an old man almost, or an old woman. A particularly elderly person seems to, his appearance shift into one of them, and then he will disappear. But what does this look like? Frame this up a little bit more as you get to describe it as you are successful.
So in just that one swift move, I break the vial over his head, and it's seconds. It's kind of like when fucking Frodo, when Bilbo like lunges towards Frodo. It's very quick, like change in the face. But my eyes catch it just enough in like the very faint candlelight where it sticks out to me before he's gone in the dark.
Before he takes off in the dark. I love that. And then Carla, what are you doing in this darkened household?
She's angry. She's very angry. And you kind of watch her form shift a little bit, and she grows a little bit taller, and her eyes glow this deep blood red. And she says, just looking up at the ceiling of the house, "Get out." And she's trying to threaten whatever is here and tell it to leave.
Ooh, I love this. This is going to be, so when dealing with the supernatural directly, in which I'd say you are, with the exception of the legacy, you always roll with sensitivity, even if you're trying to punch something.
Fine.
It's always sensitivity. But this absolutely even more feels like a case of, this could be presence, but you are absolutely, you are not asking, you are telling, and you are speaking to the core of its being. Get out.
Leave. This is my domain.
As you stand your ground and demand this of this spirit, what is it you're afraid of will happen here should this fail?
This is a bit of an interesting note, and I'm going to call out the chat because this was a good idea. She's afraid she knows this one.
Oh, you know this ghost. Oh, shit.
Hey, yo.
She knows this, whoever this person was, whatever this thing is, from a very, very long time ago.
It's worse than that, because the ghost remembers you, Carla Holst.
Of course it does.
I think that's great. You wish to continue with this course of action?
Of course.
Then you have the condition violated, so I think that does apply to the. So you'll roll disadvantage.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Okay, that's still not terrible. Like, that's a 7.
7 with a complication. I will tell you what the complication is. I will get back to you in a moment. And then we're going to cut away from this horrid scene to go back to Mr. Fontenot in a opium den in the seedy underbelly of London. For reasons that will become obvious later in this episode, this opium den in particular is in Limehouse, we'll just say. Kind of a Regent's Canal dock front. Popular Chinese immigrant community here, and there are plenty of opium dens too. But we'll just say it's there for now. Those of you who know what I'm getting at, know what I'm getting at. And the side character you're going to befriend, this is the interesting thing about this move, is that it does not specify with the side character you befriend is one you choose, or I choose, or if it's relevant to the current threat, or if it's just a side character in general. That is unclear to me. And so I'm waiting a little bit to see what the chat says, just in case anyone pops up with a quip. But otherwise, I'm gonna do my own thing here. Oh, it's up to me. All right, excellent. Thank you, Jason Cordova, the game designer, for telling me how to play the game. So, Mr. Fontenot, you are... I might mix this up every so often, but for now, I'm going to choose the side character you befriend. You are enjoying your vice alone in the seedy underbelly. And you find yourself joined, kind of in your haze, by a gentleman wearing a gold smoking jacket, wearing yellow silk pants, wearing soft slippers upon his feet. And the most interesting feature is a stylized sun mask that he wears over his face to hide his appearance. And he stands in front of you and he says,
"Do you mind if I join you?"
Are you wearing a mask inside here, mister?
Yes, I am. It is simply to protect my identity as I move through these circles, you might call them. I am a rather important member of society, and I wish to remain anonymous when indulging my vices. Please, may I join you?
Anonymity is a blessing. If you can find a seat, go ahead and park it there, friend.
There are many seats in this world, Mr. Fontenot. You merely need only know where to find them.
and the gentleman sits down next to you, pulls out an opium pipe, and offers it to you.
Ross is gonna look at his preferred way to take it, where he takes a tincture, he makes a drink, and he drinks
and
it.
The gentleman and the man in the sun mask simply says,
"Ah, an imbiber. Indeed, I prefer the haze myself. Nothing feels quite so lovely once the smoke hits your lungs, but I agree that there is a certain beatific numbness that comes when the tincture touches one's tongue. May I sample?"
We'll do a little bit of swapsies.
he gives you his pipe, you give him his the little vial. He turns away from you and lifts his sun mask ever gently enough to where you can't see anything, and he takes a small sip, and then he'll hand you back your vial. And he says,
"That is most lovely. What is your name, kind sir? If you'll pardon my anonymity, I am curious about a foreign gentleman of your bearing."
They call me in certain circles Grappling Ross Fontenot. I am a purveyor of fine animals and a wrangler of certain manners of creatures wild and not yet so wild, most foreign to these lands that they can only be found in the heart of darkness that settles within the swamps of the Americas.
Ah, the Americas. Yes, that would be one of them, at the very least. Indeed, certain circles.
And we're going to peel away from the scene for now. Let me change the sound. And then yes, so Carla, your roll result. Your complication is going to be, so you will do what you intend. I'm gonna give you another condition.
Okay.
And this one is going to be strained. You have spent a fair amount of yourself in doing this, so you are strained. But you succeed. So describe what it looks like as your eyes turn red and you demand of this spirit to get out.
So both Cal and Pyrrha have, been hearing the laughter of Roger throughout the halls, and as Pyrrha kind of, hits Roger, dispels the spirit, you just hear Carla's voice echoing large and loud and omnipresent. Just get out of this house. This is my domain. I claim these are my people, and you are not welcome here. And as it kind of hits and kind of hits everyone's ears, it kind of almost softens in a way. It almost like, instead of like, for both Cal and Pyrrha, this is very much like, you are my people, I am keeping you safe. But for the creature, it is piercing almost straight down to the core of what's left of their soul.
I love that. And actually, on second thought, I'm going to make a quick addendum. Actually, you're not going to have the strain condition. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to ask that you scar your reflection in doing this.
Ooh,
I feel like
that's
it's a
good
more
idea.
fun.
That is much,
Would you like
that.
to, because I don't think you mentioned this last time to chat.
I've not mentioned this
Would
yet.
you like to talk about your reflection move and what it entails so that our distinguished guests might understand you a little more?
So the quirk of the Undeniable, and of Carla herself, is that she possesses a masterwork piece, some sort of art that renders her in an immutable form that she herself mutates and takes on essentially all of the evil and all of the worst things that she has ever done. It's very much a picture of Dorian Gray style. In Carla's case, and I think I'm going to narrate this part.
Yes, please.
We peel away from Hargrave House, flying through London to an unseeming house somewhere. Doesn't really matter where. And we go through the door and through the halls and into the basement. And as it goes down the stairs, you see candles lighting the way. Incense is sifting and wafting in the air, and there are people in robes and in beautiful, beautiful garments looking upon this marble statue, tall and graceful, with Carla's entire image rendered in stone, her hair lovingly carved, and her hugging herself, eyes closed, and in a beautiful long gown that is centuries, if not millennia old. And you watch as she is saying these things, as she is demanding that this spirit leave Hargrave House, a little bit of blood starts seeping out from the eyes and just starts dripping down the marble face, before just kind of seeping into the stone, just kind of leaving it right there on her cheeks.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you, Carla. But you succeed as you feel the spirit's house diminish even more from this household. It is tenuously holding on. It is still clinging, but it is afraid. Great. And Dr. Murdoch, did we resolve yours yet or no? Forgive me. Oh, you are muted, sir.
Yeah, no, not yet.
Okay, cool. Remind me what your roll was.
It was a 7 to
7.
find him.
Right. Okay, cool. Then you will succeed in finding him as all these things are going on then. And there will be a complication or a cost. I think that complication, I'm gonna give you another condition.
Fuck!
As you hunt down, you track down the young Roger Beale, and you find this young boy in a corner, shaking, muttering, twitching, and you see this stooped, elderly-like countenance this boy has taken on, and you see the dark circles under his eyes as he too begins to like weep tears of blood down his cheeks, and he turns and like looks at you. I'm going to give you a condition.
Oh fuck.
You already have the jitters. Let's say that you have science left you unprepared is your condition right now.
Science left you unprepared. Oh, that's dope.
But you find a weakened young Roger Beale, and we jump away from this scene for now.
Okay.
Back to where we were. I'm going to give this unseen prompt to Mr. Fontenot. Wait, no, you went last. My apologies. I meant to say to Dr. Murdoch. Shona Muir, one of the chambermaids, is about to unpin her cap when the servant's bell rings. What last domestic duties is she called to attend to by members of the household as the house settles down for the night?
Oh, okay. So she is called to the master bedroom where the lady of the house is there, and she seems perturbed. She seems almost a little anxious, possibly a little suspicious. Maybe. But she speaks to Shona in a not so much a condescending way, but very much hushed, that she's been hearing rumors around the house that something has gone, not in the sense of mutiny, but there's rumors that a lot of people are in unrest around the house, and that certainly can't do. So Shona needs to talk. She needs to talk to the girls. She needs to figure out who exactly is, upset, who is distasteful of, how things are being run. And she has to come back to the lady of the house and sell out one or multiple of the girls. She agrees to do so, but when she leaves the room, she thinks. She decides for herself, is she really going to sell out these girls? These girls have basically become her sisters. She's been here for years. She has seen people come and go. She's seen other women die while, in this service. If someone were to be unhappy, certainly it would be for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would she sell them out for that? She's unsure. But she is going to talk to the girls to find out.
Lovely. Thank you. Alrighty. Let's resume back at Hargrave House. So, Dr. Murdoch, you have found a shivering, terrified, twitching, spasming young Roger Beale, alone in a private corner of the house. Carla, you've demanded the spirit to leave, and Pyrrha, you have taken efforts to weaken the spirit further, whereas Mr. Fontenot is engaging in lovely conversation with a new friend. But
Mr. Fontenot needs an adult, is what's happening over there.
As for Pyrrha, and I'm gonna say that if you guys, up to you to decide, if Dr. Murdoch brings to everyone's attention that he's found the boy, they've cornered him. It's up to you guys what you want to interpret here. So the scene is kind of now the spirit is weakened. Roger Beale seems to be... torn between his normal 9-year-old self and whatever is possessing him, and things are beginning to take a turn, but there's still a tension, there's still danger present. Hunters of Hargrave House, what would you like to do? And so I will accept kind of a disjointed, whoever wants to go first can describe an action for this round.
I was gonna ask if y'all are okay with just letting me handle this for a moment. See if I can't try something.
Go for it.
What did you have in mind though, Shelby?
I wanted to restrain the boy. I just wanted to make sure that the spirit could not use him to harm himself is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I'm scared of him going like full Reagan on us, so I'm trying to keep that from happening.
We can absolutely establish that Pyrrha and Dr. Murdoch are in the same room together, working in tandem. So like your action will be preparing the room for like to prevent Roger from harming himself, and like preparing for like what it might be a proper exorcism, and then Dr. Murdoch, you doing like other whatever you want as well. So we can have both of these things happening similarly at the same time. So Dr. Murdoch, what are you looking to accomplish then if Pyrrha is going to help subdue Roger Beale?
So when he finds Roger, and he saw Roger because he went into the house, so he saw this boy, he drops his bone saw. Well, he doesn't drop it, he sets it down, and he kind of puts out his hands. It's all right. Will not he had hurt you? Though, to be honest, you did pick the worst possible place to start a hunt. And he takes a few steps forward and gets down to Roger's level. And he places his hands on the shoulders of the boy. Where science has left him unprepared, he's going to adapt something a little more paternal. And he takes Roger by the shoulders. You know, this vessel, this boy, he's not yours to take. If you're looking for something to control, there are far more worthy people. Are you seeking a vessel? Are you seeking to continue being on this plane?
Fascinating.
He's approaching this with like something with like a little more compassion.
Yeah, I love this. I feel like this is absolutely going to be a night move plus presence. I'd say still disadvantage because those jitters and the science stuff, it affects you at your core at the same. But before you roll, before you make the roll, what are you afraid of happening here as you reach out to the spirit that is possessing young Roger Beale?
As of right now, his biggest fear at the moment is that Roger will be lost forever to this vessel. To like whatever has a grip on Roger, he's afraid that this is gonna go home back to that house where there's already been a tragedy, and now that woman is going to spend the rest of her life knowing that is no longer her son.
It is worse than that because Hargrave House will be blamed for such things, and you may find a great deal of unwanted attention being brought down upon you all. Do you still wish to take this approach?
Oh, don't make my family hate me. Please.
Oh, fuck it. We ball. Let's go
all
for
right,
it.
Roll, and then don't tell us the number. Just roll and remember what the number is.
Okay.
All right. Pyrrha, as this is happening, what are you doing to child safety the room up a little bit for this?
I'm holding the kid down.
Okay.
I'm not child safety in the room. I'm like fucking like I'm bear
holding him
this
firm.
kid.
What are you afraid of happening here as in restraining him?
Him getting away from me and attacking Cal.
It's worse than that because he will kill Cal. So roll.
Hey, yo, wait!
So roll plus vitality. You do still have disadvantage because your conditions. I think
Jordan, I'm sorry.
I think your condition. Yeah,
we ball. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Your conditions of
it.
chilled to the bone and out of your depth still absolutely apply here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've never fought a ghost.
Remember the number and then hold on to that for a bit. So roll, and I'm
Did
gonna
anyone
jump.
else just get like really sweaty just now?
Yeah.
Same.
I'm gonna jump over to Carla now. Carla Hulse, while this is going on, what are you doing?
She's probably left her room at this point. She knows that she can't do anything from where she's at, so she's making her way over to their hunters. And she is going to go up to see Pyrrha, see Cal, and she looks a little more monstrous than she usually does. Not too much, but a little bit. And she's going to kneel down close to this child and kind of reach out and touch his face and say, "That's such an ugly little face you've got there. Don't you think you can find something a little better than a little boy? You're a child here, and I want you gone. Do we have a deal?"
I'm gonna get to that in a minute, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna get to that in just a moment.
Look at a little blurry there, Xander.
Yes, I know. And then let's jump over to Mr. Fontenot for a moment.
God, Alex, you're gonna kill me over here.
Yes. I think that, I'll say you tell me, how is this conversation with the man in the sun mask going as you are befriending him, I should say?
Well, Ross Fontenot is a not only a purveyor of fine opium and an imbiber of such, but also an imbiber of conversation. And I think this has gone into his experiences in London, how they compare to, being in the swamps of Louisiana. And I think things have gotten very friendly with the man in the golden mask, in the sun mask. I think it is a very familiar. There's a familiarity between the two of them. It's two enjoyers of opium sharing the same space.
Indeed.
Things that might be seen as pseudo-sexual, but probably to them in their state, but just seems like odd petting to others because you're in an opium haze,
Yes,
so your body
indeed.
moves very slowly and everything like that. But yeah, I think that's where everything has been going. It's just like this meeting of the minds of these two mysterious men.
The man in the sun mask says to you,
Tell me, Mr. Fontenot, you have traveled far, haven't you?
Far and wide, Sonny. Far and wide.
But only upon this world, yes.
Some might say that when I was in Tulum and I experienced the magical properties of some fungi friends there in those jungles, I had transcended to a metaphysical plane, but my body was still here upon this earth.
Indeed. Mental transcendence is one thing, Mr. Fontenot, but to actually visit these other worlds is something quite different. I should know. I have seen other worlds, Mr. Fontenot. Been to other worlds.
Is this like some kind of John Carter type stuff?
No. There are no Martians, Mr. Fontenot, but there are... Well, upon this world at least, there are some in the opposite direction. Though it is not yet their time to reveal themselves, I should think. But I speak not of celestial bodies, Mr. Fontenot. I speak of other worlds, different worlds. Worlds where they do in fact resemble our own world, are in fact our own world, but impossibly ancient. Worlds where the sun is new and where old gods and old spirits play and make war with one another. I have seen it with all my eyes, Mr. Fontenot. It is magnificent and terrible and bloody and every other awful, wonderful thing you can imagine.
I'm going to give you a condition here, Sons of Another World.
What the fuck?
That you will just have from this interaction. Excellent. Dr. Murdoch, what did you roll?
Yes. So, I rolled 3 6s.
You're kidding me.
I rolled.
Oh my God, no, because this, oh shit.
And I saw the look on your face, and I feel like I know what's about to happen. I saw the look on your
We
face.
will resolve. I want to. Okay, 3 6.
Oh,
and
fuck me,
Kira,
dude.
what did you roll?
I rolled the 2 1s, and I wanted to know if I could put a mask on to make
Well,
it
you may put a mask on
better.
after I narrate the result. So this is a miss. But you rolled 2 1s, or what was the third roll? Because it was disadvantage.
I rolled a 6 and 2 1s. If I'm taking the 2 lowest, then
Gotcha.
that's...
Yeah, just making sure. Damn, what a bummer. All right then.
Oh fuck!
What happens?
Boy.
What happens then?
I'd like to put a
I
mask
actually,
on
just for the sake of,
regardless.
regardless of the mask or not, I do want to resolve Cal's first. So, Cal, what did you roll again?
So I rolled 3 6s.
Yes, oh
what was
God,
What was I rolling with again? I was rolling
plus
with
presence.
Presents.
plus presence.
So-
Okay, so yeah, that's just a
wow.
12.
You do
Just a
it, and
12.
I will narrate some extra benefit or advantage you receive. I'm gonna do that absolutely.
Cal.
If I die, I die. It's okay. We'll just. We did just recently get this art for this character, though. So.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not trying to make this happen.
No, this is awesome. I'm
I
fine
love
with
this.
telling-
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna. Your
This is
extra
awesome.
advantage that you're gonna get from this is I'm going to clear your jitters condition.
Sick.
I'll clear your jitters condition. I think that's a good one because you're holding yourself quite firmly. You say this as you like reach out and like mention like another vessel for you to inhabit. I'm actually gonna take control of the wheel here just for a brief moment because this segues very well into our mask result about to happen. You say, "Wouldn't you like a more fitting vessel?" And Roger Beale looks up at you and says, "Indeed, I do." And the ghost is going to leave Roger Beale's body, throw itself into you. Dr. Murdoch levitates up into the air of the room. His neck twists and snaps at an ungodly angle, and he crumples to the ground like a marionette with its strings cut, and then begins to slowly rise, a crooked neck, and stare down at Rivia, and now say, "The game's really about to start." Pyrrha, would you like to invoke the Janus mask so that this does not happen?
Yes.
Would you like to put on a mask of the past or a mask of the future?
You know what? Because I remember you said that you thought it'd be interesting if I got this one when we first were
Up to you.
first
Do whatever
going.
you wish.
No, I want to know what would have made this so interesting. I'd like to invoke the Mask of the Future, the Gilded Door.
You would like to
Ooh.
take
Yo.
that will that means why don't you read the Gilded Door, Pyrrha?
Yeah. Take the following condition, most beloved. Tell the other hunters they can no longer choose the Gilded Door in their own playbook. This does not count as it being marked. You can never clear the most beloved.
All right, so add most beloved to your conditions list.
What does that do?
I don't know.
Many things we'll find out over the course of the game.
Oh fuck
This
yeah.
will
Our
be
first permanent
fascinating.
condition has come into play. All right, you take most beloved. Or most beloved, one might say. Excellent. You invoke that. That'll bring it from a miss to a clue with a complication, where you do as you intend, but there is a cost. And I think the consequence here is going to be
If it helps at all, I'm absolutely only trying to protect Cal.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck what happens to me.
No, absolutely. And here's what's going to happen to you. Is that as the ghost flails and spasms, it does acknowledge that it wants to leave Roger's body, and what it does is Roger Beale gets like low on the ground like a spider and like shrieks and twists and breaks out of your grasp and begins to scuttle and
fuck.
crawl out of the room, but in doing so grabs the back of your coat and drags you out down a far hallway through some other rooms and just throws you into a side chamber, into like a side hallway. Doors lock, doors slam. You and Cal are now separated from one another. You have been separated from other hunters. You are now elsewhere in the house in danger. Love that. And then, Carla, what was your role?
I didn't actually roll.
Oh, sorry.
I
What'd you do again? I'm so sorry.
I was going up to Roger and basically saying that. Basically
right.
you know.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you. So then that is going to be Night move plus presence. This will be before that thing takes off. Sorry, my apologies. What are you afraid of happening?
In this moment, she's afraid that it'll stay.
Okay.
She's worried that it's going to stay. It won't leave.
It's worse than that because it will take one of you with you. Applies to Pierre
Fair
very
enough.
well here, but there are possible other interpretations. But yes, go ahead and roll with your
Roll
plus presence, and I think you still have disadvantage.
Fair enough.
Remember, kids, next day phase, probably consider clearing some of those conditions.
I need to check my. That's also
It's not
7.
like we've only had one day
7.
phase so far.
7.
Well,
Another 7.
upcoming day phase after we
Yeah.
finish this off, and then after the night phase, we'll do a little break, and then we'll continue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. With a complication, I think this time around I'm going to give you the second condition.
Okay.
Which is to say, how are you? I'll defer to the group here. How do you feel as you do this? Like, what rubs off on you negatively from this interaction? Do we feel?
I honestly kind of like the idea of Carla being really strained right now.
Strained,
She's
yeah,
using
great.
she's using a lot of just general presence that she doesn't use on a very day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Then let's do strained.
It's been a while.
Let's
say,
absolutely.
since she's done something this.
Yeah, absolutely. Then let's go with strained. In that case, great. Then yeah. So like, you have further weakened this ghost, and I will say that we have plenty of. I think we have a very vivid picture of this ghost is like ready to leave. And after this, we have one more phase of the night phase after the upcoming unseen prompt, and then we'll move on. Great. Thank you, Carla. All right, we're gonna jump back to the unseen.
I wanted to ask what is now the result of the 12 now that like
The 12
he's-
being the added advantage. I cleared your condition.
Okay.
Yeah, I cleared your condition, and you succeeded at basically you are convincing this ghost to leave Roger Beale alone. You don't want to be in his body.
Yeah.
You have Carla over here being like, you definitely don't. It's like reinforcing it, and just you have further weakening this ghost resolve to be possessing this boy.
And right now, Cal and Carla are together,
Yep,
and
that's correct.
Kira's getting dragged through the house.
That-
We're just reenacting paranormal activity. I don't know what's wrong with you
Yeah,
guys.
just a
We're
little
just
bit.
playing a game.
It's fine.
Oh.
Except I'm not screaming.
See, he's playing a game. That's what he wanted to do.
I'm having a great time.
Last unseen prompt I'm actually going to give to Carla. Meg, you can
Okay.
answer this one.
Okay.
Kitty Saxton and Daisy Warren share a room with a couple of other girls. When all is quiet, Kitty sneaks into Daisy's bed. What comfort do they share with one another? Do the other girls, aware of what is going on, maintain a discreet silence or gently rib them?
So, as Kitty sneaks into Daisy's bed, the two are swapping secrets and swapping gossip that they've heard throughout the night as, Kitty's worming her way across Daisy's skin, under her shift, and across her back. And the two spend the night slowly embracing, slowly getting to know each other a little more carnally. And of course, there's no privacy here. None whatsoever. Everyone knows what's going on. And so in the morning, when Kitty is getting dressed and she is going back and showering and bathing for the morning, she just hears one of the girls outside, who's washing up in a different basin, just singing a small little ditty, something funny, something lighthearted, but gently ribbing that she knows what's going on. A slight, let's say, dirty shanty.
I love that. Lovely. Thank you. Alrighty, we are in the last round of this night phase. I'm going to start first with Mr. Fontenot. As per the nature of your move, one of the pieces of keeper advice the book gives to me is when you do this move, if you don't pick gain unwanted attention, or sorry, if you don't pick avoid unwanted attention, I see that as an invitation for me to bring unwanted attention onto you. And so I think that's what I'm going to resolve here for your final round here is you've had these conversations with the man with the sun mask who will depart sooner or later. But for now, I think we're going to have some... Has Mr. Fontenot run afoul of anyone in London, do you think?
Oh, yeah, I'd say even his first day off the boat and everything, he probably stumbled into some place where he was supposed to, play a game of crap someplace, and people just don't understand the nature of good luck and winning and things of that nature.
You cheated absolutely, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I've never played a game where I have not cheated.
You did.
Yes.
Well, cheating's just part of the game.
So as you are
so easy.
indulging your vice here in the seedy underbelly of London, moving through this neighborhood in particular, familiar with plenty of dock workers about, you hear a voice, and let's say you're in like a dark alleyway, kind of like stumbling after like your night of indulging your vice, senses numb, feeling good.
Ross is singing a song, and it's like, well, it's Saturday night, and we got the right, and he's just going into, and he's singing in French, a little bit broken Creole.
And you hear a voice down the alleyway and goes, no fucking shit. Well, my boys, look who it fucking is. It's the American that took all my fucking shillings first day in port. Remember this one? And you see a couple of other, like, strong-bodied dock workers go, I think I recall him. He's still got those loaded dice, I reckon. And the leader says, yeah, I reckon he does. And they start to, like, walk towards you.
I'm sorry, I don't recognize you gentlemen about at all. You're saying I took money from you. Well, there's gonna be a long line. Now, why don't we just calm on down now? And you see Ross starting to roll his sleeves up, and he goes, it's fine. We don't have to fight or tussle at all. You know what? I'm gonna give you a proper chance for you to turn and walk away.
I'm going to ask you, Wes, which option you would prefer. A night move to attempt and talk these guys down, or to let these guys put their dukes up in a night move to fight them.
Oh, I would very much love to fight these gentlemen.
Then we shall do that one. The leader says, Nah. See, you might not remember me, but I'll remember you. Hard pressed to find an American with your accent anywhere else in this fucking city. So how about this? We're gonna teach you a lesson that you're not gonna forget, and maybe, in doing so, I'll take some coins back. Compensation.
Ross is going to hold up his hands like this and kind of look at him, and everything's still kind of wavy. And he's just gonna make his fist like this, and he goes, I've got some compensation for you here, Limey. I'm gonna take your teeth, and I'm gonna compensate his ass with them, and I'm gonna take his feet, and I'm gonna put them in your gullet. And then just get ready to...
Holy shit!
Fuck him up, Ross!
Beautiful. What are you afraid of happening here as you get into a 3 versus 1 fight with these burly Limehouse dockworker soldiers?
I am completely terrified that I'm going to get my ass whooped and been given a Chelsea grin, and just being. And I think it's not even the fact that of like being injured, but I think being embarrassed.
I'm gonna say it's worse than that, because in becoming embarrassed, you might lose a small grip on yourself, and you might, in retaliation, viciously murder these 3 men.
Sounds about.
Roll night move plus vitality, which you have advantage on. Do you have any conditions at the moment?
I've got Sons of Another World.
Yeah, I don't think that applies here. I feel like your physical senses. So this is gonna be 3d6 with advantage. This is. Oh, these guys are kind of fucked. I mean, it's gonna be great.
Getting the vapors.
Let's hear it. Come on, let's hear it, please.
Whoop his ass!
Please.
It's 3 6s.
Let's fucking go, dude! Oh, fuck.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here is that when I dropped my dice on the ground, I took on all of our bad luck today.
All of it.
Okay. All right, I'll throw my dice on the ground every week.
That's wonderful. That's so poetic.
Fuck
Everybody else is getting their asses whooped at Hargrave House. Ross is whooping some ass.
You know, Cal's coming out of this pretty okay right now.
I'm going to
Yes, I'm glad you are.
I'm going to have your advantage. I'm going to actually have your advantage be a clue, Ross. And here's also, I'll kind of like frame in the narrative here. You hand these three thugs right back to them. You hold true to your promise. You beat them to a sensible pulp in an alleyway, and you leave them lying there wounded, and you walk right. And when by the time you get, back home, all this stuff will have subsided. You're high on opium, and you're also high on adrenaline, I would imagine. You get back. I'll say when you eventually find your way back to bed, you pass out on this high of adrenaline and opium, and you have a vivid dream about 18 St. James's Street. A dream about two people you don't recognize. Their clothes much older, possibly. Well, their clothes are definitely from another era. The vision is hazy, but it's still vivid, and they are having a violent interaction with one another. There is choking, there is screaming, there is throwing down stairs. That's a clue for you there. Great. Hunters, last round of the night phase things. So Pierre has been dragged off somewhere else in the house. Roger Beale is on the cusp of being no longer possessed. And I will say, I'll reveal a little detail about the ghost itself. The ghost is bound to 18 St. James's Street, but is possessing Roger Beale to traverse. As soon as this ghost is released from Roger Beale, it will return to 18 St. James's Street for the time being. So I'll start with Carla and Dr. Murdoch. What would you two be like to do now in this final round? What actions would you like to undertake before the night phase ends?
I was gonna try to talk to it and see if I can't take it out of the house, but now it crawled away.
You can still talk to it. It just
crawled away with Pyrrha.
Just because it's elsewhere doesn't mean you still can't talk to it. That's up to you. Yeah.
That is true. I think in a little bit of a different angle, perhaps. Carla wants to essentially ask it what it wants. Beyond just finding another vessel. She kind of like looks to the ceiling and it's like, why come all this way just to get all of this trouble, darling? I don't want to fight you. I'm quite too tired to do so. And I think you are as well. So why don't you tell me why you're here, and then we can both be on our merry way to get some rest.
I'm gonna have this be information move plus presence.
Okay.
This is going to be with disadvantage because of your conditions, as always.
Fair enough.
Unless
Fair
you can
enough.
see a reason why one of your personal quarters items might come in handy here.
So I'm actually going to invoke that hunting question, that little mask that I put on.
Mask of the Unquiet.
Yeah, I'm going to narrate that into an object and then into the roll.
Love that. Go for it.
We
Flashback
pull
to
back.
when you encountered a haunting. Go for it.
You pull back the time that you see a much younger Carla. She looks maybe about, you'd say 12? It's really hard to tell. She's not wearing silks and satins, but long woolens and beautiful furs. And she is standing next to someone else, about her age, similar dark hair, complexion, very androgynous. It's very hard to tell what this individual's gender is. And the two of them are sleeping in the same room, and there's a noise, and she awakes first, and they awake second. And they look around the room, and things are just kind of floating in the air. And she reaches out to this person, and she grabs their hand, and they grab back, and in their hand is this locket.
Mm-hmm.
And the locket has this friend's face of hers.
Gotcha.
And in that moment, she takes it and she wraps it around her hand, and she's just kind of channeling this friend of hers. Like, what is this thing?
Thank
What
you.
do
And
they
actually,
want?
correction, I gotta remember this going forward. All interactions with the ghost, regardless of intent, are with sensitivity, except if you're Pyrrha, who can do violence with vitality. So I'll remember that going forward. So this is going to be plus sensitivity, not plus presence. But with the advantage, well, so you have disadvantage from your conditions. Advantage if you check off this item, so it'll be a flat roll.
Flat roll. That's fine by me. And let's do that. That is a that's a miss. That's a 5.
5. So when I miss with the information move, we'll check this real quick. I can react. I'm going to have. Oh, okay. This might.
Okay.
In doing this, I'm going to choose a specific reaction. This happens elsewhere in the house, but it's going to become relevant all the same. This ghost has had enough. It doesn't want to be here. It is overwhelmed. It is afraid, and it is going to violently leave. And in doing so, the young Roger Beale dies of fright. Do you wish to continue living in that reality, or do you want to invoke the Janus mask to ensure that he lives?
Do I want Roger to die a violent death? No. Mask of the past.
All right, check off that first one. We'll get back to that later. Would you like to narrate that now, or would you like to wait later?
I think because Carla just was in that state, I think it makes sense to do it now, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. Let's just keep it nice and quick. It says your sheet.
Yes.
Yes, your sheet says to narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows how, even then, people were willing to suffer in order to make you happy.
She kind of looks at this locket again, and she flashes back, this time even younger than in this one that she just had. She's about 6 years old. And she's sitting next to her father and her mother. Her mother is eating a very nice meal. Steak, meat, vegetables, grains. Carla and her father are not. And you see that they are at a banquet with people lining the halls and sitting at the table. And a man comes up to Carla, and he gets down on his knees and he says, "My lady, it is wonderful to be here. Wonderful to serve you. Wonderful that I can be here to ensure that you become our next savior." And Carla looks at her father, and you notice that Carla much more resembles her father than her mother. And he gives her a nod. And Carla, you watch as 2 fangs descend from her teeth, and she bites this poor man's neck.
I love
And
that.
she drinks. And the scene fades.
I'm going to give you a condition as the complication here. Unwelcome reminiscence.
That's fair.
But you succeed in so this will be a clue. That's the complication. I'm going to give you the clue. You ask, like, what is it you want? I'm going to get back to this in a moment.
That's fair.
Dr. Murdoch, what is it you're looking? What action would you like to take now?
Oh man. Honestly, like I was gonna go for like a sort of like ask it what it wants sort of thing. Instead,
if you wanted to similarly do an information move, if that's like kind of what you're angling for, and since Carla's already asked about that, you're welcome to like to change it, instead of asking it like to see what clues you can get from it, to search the house and see what it may have left behind, or what like interesting things may have happened. Just an idea if you're looking to do an information move.
I mean, I think his first order of business is to find Pyrrha, because Pyrrha did get Pierre did get dragged off. He's
Oh, I'm not being quiet. You'll find me.
Yeah, she's just screaming her head off.
Yeah, so he is going to pursue them as they get dragged away, but he is going to when he does find them, he is going to pick up Roger and he's going to dart for the door.
Ooh, okay, yeah, to like take him across the threshold, or where are you going?
Yeah, he's taking him out the door.
Gotcha.
If the specter, is finally out of our space and leaves, then he's just gonna take Roger home. If not, he's still gonna take Roger home if that ghost is gonna go back to the house in the first place.
Gotcha.
There's nothing to lose from taking Roger out of our space.
Love
But
that. And
he needs to make sure that the boy is safe.
before we get to that, I love that. Pyrrha, what action would you like to undertake? You've been dragged to a separate. It's still. I wouldn't say it's still like it's still dragging you, but you have been separated from all of your other hunters. So you're alone with the possessed 9-year-old.
So, I would like to actually invoke another one of the items from my personal quarters.
Oh, well, what action are you undertaking? Is the intent here?
I'd like to try and. I've never fought a ghost, but my family has been fighting this shit for a while. I want to see if I can remember any sort of like weird exorcism chant to force this thing out of the kid's body. And I wanted to use the family codex.
So information move.
Yeah.
Plus. This is probably gonna be plus reason because you're not dealing with this ghost directly. This is more of like a private thing in the darkness of Hargrave House. So plus reason, you disadvantage because of the conditions, advantage if you invoke this item. So flat roll of information plus reason. So
Oh, well, no,
2d6
there's
plus
another
reason.
dice on the floor. Hold on.
Yeah.
I won't
You gotta
leave
stop throwing
you.
dice on the floor. You gotta stop that.
I'm not doing it on purpose, and I don't know where it went. Nope, it's right there. It's fine. It's fine. Dice cuts. I'm sorry. Please be nicer to me. They were nicer to me. That's 12. Hey! That's 12.
That's a mastermind
That's-
clue as
That's
well.
12.
Let's go.
Yeah, let me look at my clue list again.
Can I just say I start speaking in broken Latin, hoping it does something?
Oh yeah, do
I
it.
think that's absolutely involved in you.
Like as I'm being dragged, I'm just flipping through the book like
Okay, that's cool. That's particularly cool. And then we have Cal. We'll get to Cal. We had Cal's thing a moment ago, but first let me think of this. As you flip through the book, that's so interesting. To like find information on ghosts, exorcisms, that kind of thing. And this might, yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, here's an interesting spin on a clue I'll give you. A good component in a proper exorcism or quieting ritual for a ghost of this potency involves a porcelain dish, like a vase or like a serving bowl, filled with warm, fresh sacrificial blood. So there's a potential clue there. And then I still need to give Carla a clue, and I still need to get Dr. Murdoch to roll. But let me look at my mastermind list for a quick second. I'll actually get back to you for that second one. Dr. Murdoch, this is going to be night move plus sensitivity, disadvantage, I would imagine.
Because of the science leaving
because
me
of the
unprepared.
science thing. And do you have any items from your cozy, from almost Brindlewood Bay term, personal quarters that you'd like to invoke here?
Yeah, I actually was thinking about invoking the druidic protection charms.
Love those. So you can make this with a flat roll instead. So it's going to be 2d6 plus your sensitivity score.
Okay. All right. So just
And night move. So what are you
just a
afraid of?
2d6.
What are you afraid of happening here? I should preface that with this.
I'm now in close quarters with him. I'm afraid of him harming me or Roger just dying in my arms as we run out. Because
Okay,
I'm unsure what this ghost is going to do to him.
I do think it's worse than that because I think you're going to be framed for murder. Or not framed. You will be suspected of murdering a child.
Okay.
I think that's a good consequence there. So go ahead and roll.
Okay. That's a 10.
Okay.
That's a 10.
That's a success. So you get to describe what it looks like.
As he scoops up Roger, he runs out of the building, and there's really not many words besides just like him telling Roger that everything's going to be okay, and that he promises that he's going to be okay and that he's going to get home safe. And as he kind of takes these druidic charms, he starts speaking this weird kind of like chant. It's not within the British language, but he just kind of starts this chant as he takes Roger out of the door.
Love that.
Probably in Gaelic.
Probably in Gaelic.
Oh.
Actually, I was thinking not Gaelic.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Something that pertains to something else that
Fair
I
enough.
have prepared for.
Understandable.
How old is Carla?
You don't know.
Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know?
She appears, I think, in her like mid-20s or like late 20s.
She probably looks about 25.
But I don't think you
just
know how.
Thinking about if she might understand this language.
Oh, but she doesn't hear it at the moment. I would say
She
she's a little
doesn't
distracted.
hear it.
She doesn't
She's
hear
a
it.
little
Okay.
distracted. No,
Maybe.
she
Okay.
doesn't hear it right now.
And here is your mastermind clue that you got, Shelby. As you're flipping through, because you rolled a 12 on the information, as you flip through the book rapidly, you find these passages on exorcisms, and a name catches your attention. It was mentioned not so long ago, but in part of your family's codex, there is a brief mention in a passage about ghosts and hauntings. It's about how do I phrase this? Like, you know, in all these like writings, there is from like within the last, you know, I'd say last 20 years or so, like between like now and like 20 years ago, a little vague here. The name Theodora Brathwaite appears in your family's codex, mentioned in conjunction, just in like one of the many diary entries or like ledger entries. Nothing too terribly specific, but she's listed among other names. So Theodora Brathwaite's name appears in your family's codex from a previous entry. Excellent. And then your clue, Carla, that you get from this. As you ask the ghostist, all the clocks in your house turn to the same wrong time. There's your clue. And then Dr. Murdoch will take Roger across the threshold. The ghost leaves his body. The boy is alive but fine. The night phase ends.
And question,
Yes.
Shelby also got a normal clue, right?
I gave it to her already. That clue
Yes.
was the
sacrificial blood.
The sacrificial
Yeah.
blood is
Yeah.
a useful component. Alrighty, that ends the night phase. We're gonna move on to the dawn phase. However, first we're gonna take a very quick break. That night phase was awesome, and I think we're gonna find our pace as we play this game. So good job, everyone. Not good first outing, and those things will only get quicker and more fun as we play. So we'll take a very quick break. Stay tuned, distinguished guests. We will be back momentarily to see what happens next and introduce a new threat. Until then, stay tuned. And welcome back. So, before we continue, Dr. Murdoch, Jordan, had to step away. He had to leave the session early. He had to go pick his girlfriend up from the airport. How dare he? No, so Dr. Murdoch, for the sake of this upcoming day phase, is on house calls, doing doctorly business. But for now, let me change the music because we survived our first night phase, everybody. Good job.
We did it.
So, before we go into the day phase itself, let's do the dawn phase. We've got some housekeeping to do first. So, the dawn phase, much like the dusk phase, is a setup phase. First thing we do is if the threat was resolved, we collect those rewards. No threat was resolved. Hunters, you may answer your dawn question. I'm going to go in order here real quick. So, Ross, let's look at your dawn question to see which ones we can answer yes to. And for each yes is a point of XP you can mark off on your track. Did you answer a question? No. Did you resolve a threat? No. Did you experience an echo in the night? Point of order really quickly. The echo in the night only counts for you if you narrated an echo in the night yourself, not other people's echoes in the night. So did you create an echo? I feel like you did at one point.
I did.
I feel like you set one up.
Pointed out by the chat as well. Ross engaged in some acts of violence, but there was also thoughts, dreams of a lady being engaged in acts of violence with her employer.
I love that. So yeah, you get to check off that one.
Amazing.
Did you encourage your fellow hunter to let loose for a change? And this is between this session and last session as well. So I feel like you may have, because then you talked to like Dr. Murdoch at one point, and we're just like, or like gotta take you around or something.
I also feel like
exactly.
the entire breakfast interaction was
very true.
Ross telling all of us to cut loose.
You made mark yes for that one too.
It's like an American breakfast.
Amazing. All right, you may. And then did you have a raw, passionate sexual encounter during which your feral nature manifested? No.
I did not.
All right, that's 2.
Dear Lord.
Dear Lord. All right, that's all right,
We can
though.
fix-
If you want to,
can
you
fix
may
that.
now mark 2 more, 2 new dawn questions, or you may keep any of the ones you have now. So, great. And also, the quickening is no longer in effect. Alrighty. Carla, you did not answer a
Hello.
question, did not resolve a threat. Did you experience an echo in the night? Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. I actually did too. There was the shattered mirror
Yes, there
that
was.
the maid had, and then there was also the song that the maid was singing.
Yes,
that
this is
mirrored.
great. So yeah, good echoes land all around. So yeah, you get to mark that one off for yes. Did you create an ornate, over-the-top erotic experience for someone else's pleasure?
Really?
Not really,
Not
unfortunately.
really.
Maybe later.
Unfortunately.
Did you express a clear preference for the beautiful over the mundane? I mean, I think there's some leniency here because
Yeah.
you I think so, yes, because I mean in a few instances, but I definitely were like, you basically
Yeah.
told the ghost like this
Yeah.
boy's body is ugly and pathetic, not befitting you.
Yeah.
So you get to mark those too. Yeah, so you may also,
I'll take that.
that's 2
I'll
points of
take that.
XP. And you may also choose 2 new dawn questions if you so choose.
Let me look
Kira,
through
let's
these.
see. Did you experience an echo in the night?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think you did because you I don't think it happened. That's all right. Did you
That's
taste
okay.
someone or something else's blood, sweat, or other bodily fluids?
No, I actively went against actually trying to kill the child.
Yes.
No.
Did you revel in the thrill of the hunt? I feel like that's an obvious yes.
Yeah, the only way it's the only way Pierre can, really.
Yeah. You screamed your head off.
Yes, I am a loud woman. That's how I am.
Yes, indeed. Excellent.
I'm a screamer. I can't help it.
Excellent. I love that. All right, that's mark 1 experience. Now, second step. Yep. So you may also now mark new elective dawn questions if you so please.
Yeah, working on.
We have no other playbook moves that are resolved here. All right, we have some Janice mask. Oh, yes.
Xander,
Yes.
someone pointed out in the chat that Pyrrha did restrain Roger in the same way that the maids were metaphorically restrained in the attic.
I mean, if you want to count that as an echo in the night, cool, but I didn't do it as one. So.
I like it. Let's go with it.
Sure.
So you get take the XP for that. No, it's a cool thematic
I'll
connection.
take it.
I like that. I
I'll
like
take
that.
it. Thanks for arguing in my favor, Chuck, because I was willing to let that go.
Excellent.
Thank you, Chad.
All right, and now, do we have any Janice mask? Yes, we do actually. We have a few Janice mask prompts that need to be resolved. We need Ross and Pyrrha to both the Mask of the Unquiet to narrate a flashback when they were younger when they experienced a haunting. And anyone else mark a Mask of the Past or no?
I
Nope,
marked the gilded door.
And I resolved mine.
Yes, you did.
So
All right, so
yeah, just those
Ross
two.
and Pyrrha, I need to narrate a flashback from you two about when you experienced a haunting.
Wait, I'm very confused. Where did this flashback?
This
Was for
so the Mask of the Unquiet, which Carla triggered, is every hunter gets to do it.
Oh!
So each hunter narrates a flashback to their childhood when they experienced a haunting. So Ross, Pyrrha, who would like to go first?
Ross, you go first.
I'll go first. The time is Louisiana, New Orleans. A manor right outside of the city limits. A boy, small, well, big for his age, but small, is wandering about the woods. He's told to never go into the swamp, it's much too dangerous, but he goes out into the woods. He stumbles across an old rotten house that had been overtaken by reeds and trees and leaves. It was lopsided, like a crooked grin. He decided to go against his better nature and start exploring inside of this house, where he had found a room that was locked off, but he used his strong built shoulders that as he was growing, he was starting to form muscles, and he broke his way into the room. The wood was rotten, so it was easier for him to break and rip apart. And he found there hanging from ceilings dead rabbits, gutted, some skinned and flayed. An altar with an old man prostrated before it, babbling incoherently to himself. Not knowing what to do, Ross tried to help him, and the man turned to strike Ross with a knife that he'd used to flay and cut all these rabbits. Ross, defending himself and clearly overpowering this older gentleman who has been sick with exposure and starvation, was clubbed over the head repeatedly with a piece of wood. And Ross felt something move inside of him when that happened. And it left eventually, finding somebody else. About a few months later, Ross went back out to the swamp, the forest area, not the swamp, to revisit this house. It was nowhere to be found, just a pile of stones and trees growing out of it. He was confused. He's always been trying to see if there was anything more to that, or if it was just something that happened in his head.
Indeed. Lovely. Thank you. Pyrrha, what haunting did you experience in your childhood?
This is an old story that Peter's not actually sure if it happened, but it's a very old memory to some of the scarier things in this world. This happened when I was a very young child. Even before I was old enough for them to start throwing me into the more intense training of being a hunter. It was me and my twin brother, Damir, and my older brother, who I need to go and get his name because I don't have it on my head right now.
That's all right.
Mikhail.
Mikhail.
Yes, so Damir and Mikhail. We were all three of us. Mikhail was a bit older than me. He's about 5 or 6 years older. So he was watching me and my youngest, my brother, and we heard giggling, unlike the creepy child running around Hargrave House. And we thought it was another child in the neighborhood that we used to play with. always knew her because she had very bright, curly red hair. Couldn't find her. Kept hearing her laugh while she was playing a game. And then Pyrrha, she separated from her brothers. She walked downstairs, just looking, and thought she saw a flash of red hair go behind a big armchair. And so she looked to see if she could see it again. She didn't go approach. And then a head poked out, but it wasn't the little girl that usually came to play. Well, it had the same hair. Its face was wrong. And she could not understand if it was the smile was too big or the eyes too wide, but it wasn't her friend. And she never found out what it was. She remembered calling for her brother, Damir, who then got their uncle and their father. They were removed from the house for 2 weeks and came back and never spoke of it again.
Very nice. Well, then we move on into the day phase, everybody. Wonderful job. So, first up of the day phase is I get to present a new threat. London is not a static city. It is busy. There are plenty of things going on at any given moment. I think it's very similar to like Gotham City, for example, where just because Batman may be fighting the Joker doesn't mean that the Penguin and Mr. Freeze aren't busy elsewhere. And what happens this morning? This is actually thematically very close to some things that were happening last night. This threat is titled The Limehouse Lurker. Jenny Johnston, the proprietor of an opium den in Limehouse, tells you a story that has not yet reached Scotland Yard or the papers. 3 people have been found dead in recent days, the bodies completely exsanguinated. The first was a prostitute called Soft Jimmy, found in a dark corner of the opium den. The second was a young mother, Charla Bell, found in an alleyway behind the Limehouse School. And the third was a Chinese sailor, Zhao Donghai, found outside a pub near the Regent Canal dock, the Dog and Whistle. Jenny, an informal community leader in Limehouse, has been keeping the bodies in her basement. She's hesitant to go to the authorities because she fears it will cause trouble for the small but thriving Chinese immigrant community in the district. She heard that Hargrave House has experience with matters such as this and has asked for your help. Dr. Murdoch is not here, so I'm going to direct this question to Mr. Fontenot. Hargrave House knows about creatures that drink the blood of their victims. They're called vampires. A detail in Jenny's story convinces you this particular vampire has the body of a small child. What is it?
I would say, there's a movie called Don't Look Now. That is pretty great, but it's set later and everything like that. But it is a small child that wanders around in a rain slicker, or it looks like a small child that wanders around in a yellow rain slicker.
Oh, it's like it's walking around very Georgie kind of Pennywise kind of thing going on there. So it's like a yellow, like a child's rain jacket is like seen like wearing like was seen. Okay, this is incredible. All right, so here's the scuttlebutt on the details for this threat that you need to know thus far. There are a few questions, but only one of them is available to you at the moment. That question is the vampire young or old? That has a complexity of 4. And in answering that question, you'll unlock the next appropriate question. Because, and I'll share this freely with my hunters, a young vampire needs to be treated very differently than an old vampire. They're both inhabiting the body of a child, but the question is young or old. If the vampire is young, it's scared. It will lash out like a wild animal, and its kills are going to be sloppy and haphazard. It may retain some vague memories of its life before being turned, and those memories might be able to be used to manipulate it. If it is old, it is far more calculating and dangerous. It might have access to supernatural powers like blood magic or other, preternatural abilities. In both cases, vampires are weak in direct sunlight, can be destroyed by plunging a wooden stake through its heart, or submerging it in running water. But the main question is it a young vampire or an old vampire? So that's what those clues will be investigating. And this mystery, or threat, I should say, has the unique mask of the Mask of the Sun, which, as always, you must invoke it to find out what it does. But yes, that is the new threat. We'll add all this information to our keeper. But you are now at your leisure. You may now decide what you'd like to do during this day phase. So let's see. You've survived. Let's say that you've, I'm gonna have this day phase not be the immediate morning following the last night phase. Day phases can take place later. So let's say it's been like a couple of days since the whole Roger Beale affair. You survived the little incursion at Hargrave House. And yeah, Roger Beale's been returned to his family by Dr. Murdoch. No worse for wear. The family is scared, but you brought him back safe and alive, so that's good on you, Hargrave House. You still have the active St. James's Street ghost threat, which you have collected a sizable number of clues for. You all have several conditions, which it might behoove you to start clearing those with the vulnerable move. So I will just ask hunters. It's a new day. What would our hunters like to do during this day phase? What scenes would we like to set up?
So I imagine we might all kind of run into each other at the breakfast table again after our harrowing evening. Para, like she does every morning, is getting a bottle of booze out of the cabinet, but is drinking a lot more than she usually does. Fuck are we gonna do? Things in a kid.
It's not in the kid anymore. I can tell you that much.
What if it goes back? It's piss.
It gets back. I guess we beat the ever-loving crap out of it again.
I think I'm putting together something here.
There was a ghost. Ghost and Roger Beale, of all people, showed up on our door last night, and I am thoroughly upset about the whole affair.
Well, you think you're upset? You didn't get dragged across the floor, princess.
Maybe not. It tried to possess me, though. It's not a very fun experience.
No, it just tried to kill that fucking kid.
You're gonna see Ross has set down some food, other implements, breakfast stuff, takes off an apron, starts putting on his jacket, and he goes, I think you two need to have yourselves a bit of a private soiree, a rehabilitation period.
You could just say that we need to go out and find some whores. That'd be faster.
I mean, sure. I got nothing fucking better to do, and I can't leave without a chaperone. So, Carla, you want to chaperone me?
Of course, darling.
That means that. So when he asks if I left, you're gonna vouch for me that you were there, right?
Of course,
cool.
of course.
Like, see, this is why we get along.
I am going to go check on the young Roger Beale, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of investigation. I'm starting to connect the dots. I'm seeing that now this cigar of a problem that we have is turning to be more of a box of cigars.
Just trying not to get the. Oh God, fuck! I'm not drinking enough. Just trying not to get possessed.
The donut hole is not a donut hole at all.
Oh,
But it's a small donut with its own hole.
Donut hole.
Thank you. I do like the Benoit Blanc vibes Ross is giving off.
I love Knives Out so much.
Such a great movie. Alrighty, cool. So Ross will head out. And I'm hearing that, all right, so just to clarify, Pyrrha and Carla, you'd like to go, as you said in your own words, whoring, to invoke the vulnerable move with one another?
I think that's the idea.
Excellent. So I will, as a reminder, the vulnerable move is when you have an intimate moment with another hunter while one of you is engaged in your vice, you may clear an appropriate condition. If it is your vice, you may also either stumble onto a clue or invite the other hunter to ask you about your past. I love that. And let's see. And it feels like, aside from going to go talk to the Beals yourself, Wes, are you angling to go for the answer a question move?
I want to answer a question.
Now, here's the fun thing about the answer a question move is, as the move says, like when the hunters have an open, freewheeling discussion, your hunters can be in the same place, sure, but the discussion is between the players. So even though it's like Ross going off by himself, when you're doing this answer a question move, it is all of us chipping into your. It's like we're brainstorming these answers as a group, so it's very collaborative. So we'll get to that in a moment.
Or just that annoying the set of voices in Ross's head trying to tell him what the fuck is going on.
It's a big out of character discussion we get to have. It's very fun. Cool, but yeah, I'm gonna. Oh god, which scene do I want to do? We'll get to the whorehouse. I want to lean into the answer a question first.
Let's do that.
This is good. So, would you like to do this first, or did you want to go to the? Did you want to go like maybe get some more clues at the townhouse first, or you're like, let's do the answer question now? All right.
Let's do an answer question.
So,
now.
which question are you looking to answer here? Because you have 2 for 18 St. James's Street.
Which part of the house is the ghost attached to?
So you want to get the custom move? Sure. Excellent. And so as a reminder, the complexity rating of the question, which is a 4, is subtracted from the 2d6 roll someone will make. The number of, I'll just read the move out loud just for everyone to hear. When the hunters have an open, freewheeling discussion about the answer to a question, once they have gathered a number of clues equal to at least half of the question's complexity and reach a consensus, roll plus the number of clues incorporated into the answer or otherwise explained away minus the question's complexity. So you get to spend these clues, and as a reminder, once a clue is spent, they're done. You can't use them again for answering other questions. And as the move there said, incorporate or explain away. If a clue does not have any relevance in this whatsoever, you can easily just say, this isn't relevant, here's what this is, I'm explaining it away. So, kick us off. I'm gonna put on some appropriate music. Let's hear what you got going on. Let's start us off, then we'll start discussing.
Yeah.
So it's very clear to me that a large part of the house, not a large part of the house, but a very distinct part of the house that this ghost seems to be wandering and interacting with is not just the stairs, but a foyer as a whole. It seems like something happened there that seems to be attached. I'm starting to see a bit more of what happened with the clues that we found. Specifically, the visions of older people having a violent interaction on the stairs is kind of where I wanted to kick things off with. It seems like the ghost might be one of those 2 people. That's probably what started Ross on this. Like, I gotta investigate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
What?
Go ahead.
When I think of going from the stairs, at least in my mind, what happens is that those 2 older people who used to own the house, they're having an altercation on the stairs. Someone falls as they've gotten a little bit strangled, and I think they hit the mirror. I think they hit the mirror in the foyer, and it shatters as they hit on impact.
I think that you're probably right, and that I think that the date that was cut into the mirror is kind of the linchpin as to where and as to when this happened, that we might be able to find a record of a date of death at some point. But I do agree that I do think that it's mostly connected to those stairs, but to particularly the floor at the bottom of the stairs where the body would have hit. Because if we remember, there was also a broken stair in the house.
Yes.
Going up towards the attic, there's a broken stair.
Now, yeah, that's similar death, because we had the vision of the violent interaction. I think, and because I get to contribute to this too, the similar death that happened, that like the previous owners of the house had a very similar death to Ginny Hess, is different than the violent encounter that happened much longer ago. So like the much longer ago, like these two people had a violent encounter, and then so yeah, okay, cool. Just make sure that we're feeling that. Yeah, gotcha. All right, and that so you say that so like the star crack was like someone hit the mirror and it just like conspicuously looks like that. Oh, that's cool.
There probably was a little bit more of a supernatural element. We can get to that in a different time, perhaps.
What if it's like, I don't know if anyone is familiar, and I don't want to spoil the series for you, but there's a series called The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yep.
And there's the ghost, or the main kind of like one of the ghosts in that series follows a set like routine of going and moving to a certain bedroom and not seeing a certain person there, and if it like interacts with anybody else that kind of gets in the ghost's way, then it grabs them and kills them in a similar manner as to how that ghost was murdered. I wonder if that's something that's what's happening here. It kind of sounds like
some like residual thing that's
energy.
Like
So Jenny wasn't, necessarily.
She wasn't attacked. She was at the wrong place at the wrong time in the house.
Wrong time. And Irma might have been possessed by a ghost, because we heard, because Roger heard Irma arguing in a foreign language, an older foreign language.
Yep.
This is obvious, but I know we need to go back and talk to her again. But with that in mind, knowing that she communicated with this ghost, she might know who's dead, and we might need someone who isn't Ross. Like we might need like super hot Carla over here to like seduce the information out of this woman.
So
I love you, Ross. You were great.
Look, I'm not everybody's cup of absinthe, all right? I'm
You're definitely my cup of absinthe. If that helps.
Same. But let's make sure we're not getting too many. We do want to leave some of these clues for.
But I think that it's probably a safe answer to attempt the stairs.
Yeah.
That seems to be where it all centers around.
Yep.
Whether it's connected to a floor attached to the stairs seems to be the main thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is so we have
So I marked off. We have the cracked mirror.
Yeah, so the cracked so the cracked mirror was that from the similar death that was very recently? Okay. So like then the
similar
cracked
death
was a similar death, but the numbers in it were the date of the original murder that this ghost is a part of. Okay,
yes.
I got you. Okay, gotcha. So like the previous owner of 18 St. James's Street tumbled down the stairs, slammed their head into the mirror. They were in wrong place at the wrong time. I guess it's the same thing with Ginny's kind of thing here, which is the foyer at this specific kind of activity. Gotcha. They cracked the mirror in that star formation.
Part of the tripping was involved that broken stair.
Yeah.
That has recently been fixed. And all of this kind of links back to this original kind of altercation on the stairs. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. I count 5 clues.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that have been explained. Well, you also explained didn't you also say that like Irma's possessed possibly?
Yes.
But actually that is that. Do you want to use that for the location clue, or do you want to possibly save that for the how to still the ghost clue? Do you want to use that in this theory?
Save that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to also use the strangulation to say that it kind of that similar chain, or do we want to save that one for later maybe as well?
We've already used 5.
Mm-hmm. So you'll have a
right?
+1 on the roll.
Plus 1 on the roll.
Now because it has negated the -4. I could see. Yeah. So let's see. I'm just going through this again. Yeah. So the cracked mirror from the similar death. Those two make sense. The broken stair. The stair cracked underfoot, tumbled down the stairs. Wouldn't it be kind of interesting though if that stair is like repeatedly broken over every instance of the death? So it's like
I think that would make sense.
that
That's
makes
why
sense.
it had been.
It's been fixed so many times. It's like the faulty stair. Yeah, but that is like.
Which is why Kira would have noticed it, because if it had been repaired me like once or twice, you know, the ear just didn't blend in. But since it's been so many times,
And we know this entity has the ability to manipulate the house because we watched it manipulate the house last night. So the broken stair would be perfect
I'm gonna echo something I saw in chat here because I also agree with it. The broken step is the 17th step in the house. So lining up with the haunting that Dr. Murdoch faced off with, yeah, it is the 17th step on the stair.
Okay.
They got that, and then we have this visions of of people from an older time having this violent interaction. One of them like strangling, and then is the vision. We can recontextualize and retcon and renade. Is it like strangling and then they threw them down the stairs, or is like these people were like strangling and fighting, and then a stair broke underfoot and one person tumbled, ass over tea kettle and died on the fall. It was like a violent domestic situation that ended in an accidental death.
I like how that sounds. Yeah.
That seems like worth being a ghost over.
An accident, something that you have regret over.
Yeah.
And the regret's the accident. So I think we can also check off the neck bruises. I think that makes sense for this one.
The neck bruise, because I think that absolutely makes sense, because if the neck bruises are like part of like the lead up to the murder or the accident, it was like the strangulation is like so in this case, I love this. So in this case, the accidental death that happened is like, it's like, as you mentioned, Blind Manor, wrong place, wrong time, where it's like, oh, now I'm suddenly being choked by a spectral entity. I stumble, I fall, stair breaks, I tumble and die. So Ginny did not die by strangulation, but the finger marks, she did die from the fall, but the finger marks on her neck were from the ghosts grabbing her in its kind of like route movement through the house. I think this is phenomenal.
So that brings us to a +2 total. I think that's a good place to be.
So it's just one location. So it is. I think it is what, like the like. Are we saying it's the foyer, or kind of like the or is like the because it's sounding more like, to me, people end up in the foyer, but the center of the ghost activity is the second floor.
Yes.
Where
the landing.
is like the second floor
The
landing. So
landing.
the second floor, the landing, is like where the ghost is centered. That makes some pretty good sense to me. Yeah, we want to roll with that?
Yeah, let's do
And
that.
then that is, we use 6 there. Does anybody want to add another one? So let's see. So far that would instill a +5 bonus. Yeah, wait. That's
The broken stair.
+6.
Oh, thank you.
Plus
+6. So that would be, it'll give you a +2 to the roll. Which is pretty neat.
I think that's enough. Personally.
I think that'll be good.
Yeah, so like as a reminder with the roll, on a 10+, the answer is correct. I will give you you'll unlock that question's opportunity. In this case, it'll be a custom move you get. On a 7 to 9, it's still correct, but I'll add an unwelcome complication into this whole mystery. On a 6 or lower, your guess is incorrect, and I will react accordingly. On a 12+, the mastermind will reveal themselves while the hunters are pursuing the opportunity. That one doesn't really apply here because the opportunity you unlock is a custom move. Although I think if you use the custom move for the first time, the mastermind might appear. So that might be my angle there. I think +2 is fine. So who would like to make the roll? Anyone can do it.
I think it makes sense for Ross.
Sure.
Since
So
he's the one investigating.
2d6 +2.
I don't like the chat is saying I should do it. This is a bad idea.
The
chat wants to watch. The chat wants to watch us burn.
The rest of us had a lot of rolls throughout the night.
Yeah.
And your luck is better. You rolled 3 fucking 6s. So do it.
I hope I didn't burn it. All right.
I believe in you.
Believe.
Okay.
Oh.
That is a 4 and a 5, a 9.
Plus 2 is
Plus
11.
2 is an 11.
11.
Hey!
It's correct. So you have correctly guessed that the second floor landing is the part of the house the ghost is attached to. You have unlocked the custom move Old Bones. I will read that out loud to you, and I will add it to the character keeper later. So I'll do this after the session. Old Bones is a custom move anyone can use as long as you meet the requirement. Here's the move. Old Bones. When you have the Cosmic Passage marked, which I will remind you, the Cosmic Passage is a mask of the future you can mark. When you have that marked and touch, listen to, or otherwise attune to a building's architectural details, roll with sensitivity. On a hit, a ghost will appear and answer a single question you pose to it, or perform a small task. Your choice. Any answers it gives can be in the form of a clue at my discretion. On a 10+ as above, and the ghost will not ask for anything in return. So I'll add it to the keeper.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, excellent. Cool. You unlock that move. Great. I'm gonna, now that we've done that, so Mr. Fontenot, you kind of put some pieces together, kind of factor in the story thus far. Let's have, before we end, because we're almost at time here, I feel like it's appropriate that we end the game with that vulnerable move between Pyrrha and Carla. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to change the music to this one. So the vulnerable move, you two both go to an establishment of your choice to, this is indulging Pyrrha's vice, which is sex with strangers.
I go here a lot. They probably know me.
If they know you, then is it sex with strangers, Pyrrha?
I mean, they don't physically know me, but they know my face. I come here about as often as I can when I can get out of that fucking house.
Yes. Okay, yeah. And I assume, Carla, are you participating in any affairs privately or with Pyrrha? I mean, it's up to you.
I mean, do you want me around, Pyrrha? I could give you a massage.
You know, that's tempting. Very tempting.
I feel like you need it after last night.
Fuck last night. Fuck everything that fucking happened last night.
I think I'll participate then. Couldn't hurt. It's quite rare for me, but I'm feeling a little vulnerable as it is.
Oh, is that so? Don't worry, you'll be safe here. I haven't been caught here yet, so.
Okay, well, why not? Let's have a little fun.
And of course, per the nature of Pyrrha's vice, there is a third participant who neither of you have ever met in your life. I will ask,
never meet again.
I will ask just because I'm now innately curious. What is the identity of this individual? Male, female, otherwise?
Pyrrha swings both ways, so it wouldn't really matter.
Carla.
So you know what? I'm going to do something a little fun. I'm going to roll a dice. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Female. 3, 2. That's a 6. So we have a young gentleman with us.
A young gentleman, indeed. I love this. All right. Yeah. So the three of you indulge in a lovely, impassionate, or daytime tryst in a whorehouse in London. And actually, hey, Meg, if you want, this is a great time to answer one of your Dawn questions. If you want to describe something, I will remind our distinguished guests listening that one of our safety tools is we have veiled sexual content, so we will get a little spicy in here. We're never going to describe anything
No.
outright explicit, But we
No.
can skirt it and get nice and tantalizingly
We'll
close.
keep PG-13 here.
We'll keep it respectably R. Respectably R. You know,
Maybe movie ratings have changed since I was a kid.
a little bit.
So
Not
Carla,
quite HBO, but yeah.
So Carla, this is obviously just more for flavor, but she brought along her massage oils, and there's a very long part in which, with Pyrrha's, of course, consent, that's important in these matters,
Yeah.
that she just lathers her hands in these lavender and rose scented oils, and is just working her hands very delicately, very slowly into Pyrrha's shoulders and into her back. Just letting the fumes just kind of waft over her slowly.
I am
Mhm.
absolutely covered in scars. Like you know that I've been through a lot, but my skin is very rough from the amount of fighting I've done in what I guess compared to you is a very short amount of time.
Short, maybe, but you kind of feel Carla's hands over your scars very lovingly, not with any revile or any disgust, because you know Carla likes things beautiful, but in this case it's loving and it's gentle, almost as if she's like tracing out designs in your back.
I think she physically relaxes in a way that I don't think you might have seen Pyrrha really relax before. You've seen her drunk as hell. You've probably seen her come back from the opium den a few times with Ross. But this is like it's like you've seen a woman who's had a house on her shoulders, but for just a few minutes that disappears, and she forgets about Rivia. She forgets about Hargrave. It's just you and her and this other person.
Indeed. And we fade to black. I think that's lovely. Then let's have it. And as per the vulnerable move, you aced this one, yeah. Now, Pyrrha, this is your vice you are indulging, so you actually get to make the choice the move offers, which is you can either, in the scene, stumble onto a clue for any relevant mystery that is, or for a threat that's currently active, so either the Limehouse Lurker or the St. James's Street Ghost, or you may also invite Carla to ask you about your past. You must answer truthfully, but not necessarily completely. I'd like to call out a specific example from a video of the Between I watched on Jason Cordova's channel, with the Undeniable being asked where he's from, and he just says Athens. Does not say when he was born in Athens. He just, I am from Athens. It was so kind of, you can skirt the question. You don't have to be truthful, or you do have to be truthful, but you don't have to be complete. So which of those would you like to choose?
Just so I'm clear, could you say the second option?
Yes,
again?
The second option is that you can invite Carla to ask you about your past. You must answer truthfully, though not necessarily completely.
So lies by omission are okay, but I cannot flat out lie.
Correct.
Got it. Well, as much as I would love another clue, I think that in this moment, Pyrrha would like to think about anything other than this fucking case right now.
For sure.
So,
then you
have
may...
a freebie, Carla.
So yeah, you invite Carla. You may ask anything you wish of Pyrrha.
So as she's just kind of, I think at this point, Carla's more like moved up to like her shoulders and her neck, which is very, for Pyrrha is probably just a little bit scary because she knows what Carla is and anything around that.
No, I don't. I'm into biting, but I'm not into biting.
No,
okay?
no, I'm not going to do anything. Don't worry. Have you dealt with vampires before? Or am I your first?
I never dealt with one, but my dad did. I don't think it was I don't think they were a fully realized one, though. I think they were still a spawn.
All right. It's a lovely little scene, lovely little conversation. I think a delightful end cap for this week's chapter of The Between. So we'll bring the evening to a conclusion on a sensual note. I'm a fan. Thank you, hunters. Thank you, distinguished guests, for tuning in. We will resume our play of The Between next Monday, same time, same place. Until then, sleep well and rest easy, for the night is dark and full of terrors. Good night.